Capital punishment. Death is not the worst part of life. The worst part of life is what dies inside of us while we are alive. Quote by myself. This means that we are all born with humanity, and we die with humanity. The day that we lose our humanity is worse than death. Of course, some people have different views of humanity, and the day that we lose our humanity is worse than death. Of course, some people have different views of humanity. Most people would say that their view of humanity would be that humans work together, not against each other. This brings us to capital punishment, where the real question is, when is it okay to take someone's life? According to Webster's dictionary, the meaning of capital punishment is the practice of killing people as punishment for serious crimes. And capital punishment has been around since ancient times. And the first that we heard of it was from ancient Egypt. And at the time, they had a sort of torture called impalement, which is what you would do. You would stab someone with a spear, you would lift up the body, and then you would slowly wait for them to die. And in the process of death, until the point of death, it would take about 3 days. And the only difference between capital punishment now is that we impale people much less, and we give the death penalty with a much less cruel death. And so here is why capital punishment was put in place. Capital punishment was used back in the day so much that we did not understand science, and only religion and the supernatural was around because people didn't understand science. And people were also very strict about people following the rules back in the day. There was the Salem witch trials, the time when people were being accused left and right, being put to the stake and being burnt alive. People killed the witches because they thought witches were working with the devil. And they did this to ensure people would not turn to the devil's side. And as you can imagine, it was a much crueler time if you were to be killed. And as time goes on, we create more technology. And we start to learn more about the mind, discovering that people who are strange in appearance and their behavior does not mean that there's something mentally wrong with them, or that they have no sense of reality, meaning that they don't know what is what and they don't know what is right from wrong. And many people will say that killing is wrong. Obviously, I agree. You don't want to die. I don't want to die. And however, there is a certain situation where there might not be a choice on who lives and who dies. Homicidal maniacs are a perfect example of why we have the capital punishment. And homicidal maniacs are usually quite intelligent, believe it or not. They have to put in multiple variables that can get them discovered, and they will be, of course, arrested. They have to worry about the victims and what they should do with the body. They have to be very careful about people that know the victim, and depending on who they attack, it can make people panic more, cause more mass panic. And another good, excellent example of someone who was given the capital punishment was someone that we actually learned not too long ago about. And we all know him as Pogo the Clown. And he was sentenced to, 12 death sentences and 21 natural life sentences. At this point, this is basically saying you're screwed. There's no way you're going to get out of this. You got 21 natural life sentences on you and 12 death sentences. That's killing you 12 times over. If they could. Some may still think that the killers should even deserve to live. But there are some people who are just too dangerous. Ted Bundy is a prime example. He's a murderer, a thief, a kidnapper, and most disturbingly, a necrophiliac, which means someone who gets sexual pleasure from a corpse, which is probably the most sickest thing that someone can probably think of. In 1975, Ted Bundy was guilty of 36 murders, but the police believe he actually might have been possible for killing more than 100 people. And in 1977, Bundy escaped from a hole that he chiseled in the ceiling of a cell. During this escape, Bundy attacked 4 sorority girls at Florida State University, killing 2 of them. He was captured again and was given the chair in 1989. This is one of the few main reasons of why we have the capital punishment, because we fear that a killer may return, and that can cause much more panic than it ever did before. You knowing that a killer is still out there and you never know where he might pop up again, it's terrifying. You also probably heard that capital punishment has been a massive debate for the past couple of years right now. And Death Penalty Information Center released a poll of 1,500 people in 2010, which stated that 61% of people would rather have a different punishment than capital punishment. And here are some reasons why we still have it today, though. We use it to drive a bit of fear in the enemies of the United States. If people knew that you wouldn't have to worry about getting capital punishment after committing one of the most horrific of crimes, killing someone, and then that would cause some people to think that we don't have anything to lose and they can be killed and they won't be killed for their crimes, which can cause is very, very understandable. And while on the subject of murder, there are hundreds and thousands of people who believe that it is okay to kill. And that's messed up. But there are a lot of people out there, and they are doing it in the name of a supreme being. You probably heard of them. This group has been we are all very aware of ISIS, an organization that is very responsible for one of the most horrific events of terrorism in America, 9/11. What is even worse is that they are actually not even afraid to die when killing other people. They do it in the name of their god, Allah. And unlike most serial killers, they have a purpose, while serial killers do it just for the pleasure, which makes ISIS members much more capable of doing many, many horrific deeds because they know that they have nothing to fear. So, in conclusion, we have the death penalty to keep our country safe, so there can be order. Finally, we have it to protect a larger population. If it means that we have to save a larger group, then I think the people of America can easily say it's better to kill the monster, someone that's already lost their humanity. Thank you.